So, you want to be a professional photographer? Well, I'm going to be real with you in this video. No sugarcoating. I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it with the greatest chance of success in 2025. Let's get into the video. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jonathan Zaharek, and for most of you here, you're familiar with my Adirondack hiking YouTube content, but today is not going to be anything Adirondacks related really at all. No hiking content. So if you don't really care about becoming a professional photographer, then this video is not for you, but I'm hoping that this video reaches a much wider general audience of those who are aspiring or have been even grinding for years in photography, and they really just aren't getting any headway, and they want to hear a new perspective, maybe even unbiased, objective of what I think how to become a professional photographer in 2025. Now I know what you're saying, unbiased, objective from my perspective. Well, I'm going to try to give you guys 10 hopefully highly engaging points that I've learned over the decade of photography experience that I have, and I believe that this is going to be true for everyone. That's what I say when I mean objective. I don't think this is specific just to me. I think this is something that every person can benefit from. I want you to treat this video like a visual podcast. Reason being is because I'm not gonna have a lot of clips and other stuff to show you in this video. Pretty much I wanna just spit facts, spit knowledge, spit wisdom for the little that I can give, and hope that you benefit from it and that you can take something. So get some notes. I'm also gonna have a PDF of all 10 of these points down below, so you can just download that too and read it for yourself. I'm also not here to give you vague motivation and just to tell you to just follow your dreams and it will all work out at the end. It is not guaranteed that you're going to actually be able to become successful at photography, even after following these points. But by the end of this video, I hope you've developed a good mindset, strategy, and learned how to sacrifice a little bit more and to really see if this is the route that you want to go down. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Again, my name is Jonathan Zaharek. I live here in the Adirondack Mountains of upstate New York, and I am a professional landscape photographer. However, I do believe that the advice I'm going to give today is far beyond just for landscape photography. I think this can be applied to any photography style at all. I've been shooting professionally for over a decade now, and I am fortunate enough to be able to live full-time and support me, my wife, here in the Adirondack Park as an artist, someone who photographs landscape photography out here in the Adirondacks, who has this YouTube channel. I've collaborated with many brands over the years. I do a lot of freelance work. And so I try to pretty much just make as much money as I can off of my camera. And it's more than just artwork. So sometimes photography does force you to diversify, and we will talk about that in a moment. I do apologize that this video is really long, but I really have a lot of information I want to get out here really quickly. So just bear with me. Let's dive right into it. There's so much I want to share with you right off the bat, but I'm going to tell you, honestly, no one told me any of this information. This is all from just trial and error and 10 years of trying to make it work. Step number 1, your environment dictates your success. I have my notes right here on the side, so forgive me if I'm not making eye contact the entire time. So what I mean by your environment dictates your success, okay? Your environment is everything. If you don't know what kind of photography you want to do, start by looking at where you are. Are you in a city? Are you in a rural town? Are you in the mountains? Are you near businesses? This determines what kind of photography is practical to pursue if you don't know. But you might also already know what you love and what kind of photography you love to do, and that's great. That's already an extra step ahead. Do you want to shoot portraits, weddings, landscape art, wildlife? Whatever the photography is that you want to do, the thing is you need to be in the environment, in the location, in the place that can provide that for you. If you want to do landscape art, traveling 2 or 3 times a year to a place might not be enough for you. You need to be able to go to a location that has either the landscape you want to photograph, the people you want to photograph, the amount of business that might exist, right? If you want to be a wedding photographer and you live in a small rural community in the middle of Ohio, it might be harder than if you lived in New York City. that also dictates your business. That also dictates what you can charge and who your clientele is going to be. So you need to first see and analyze your environment and ask yourself, can I do this living here? Or do I need to relocate myself? What are you willing to do? A lot of people do blame luck. Maybe they had viral posts on Instagram or on YouTube over the years, but in reality, the way you immerse yourself into your environment is everything, okay? For example, I grew up in Ohio. I started photographing the Adirondacks here on vacation, but I realized in order to do it full-time, I needed to relocate here, get plugged into the community, get plugged into the environment itself, and really get to know it inside and out. And my camera has now taken me to over 5,000 miles of trails just within this park alone. And I try to take my camera out as much as I can and photographing it and connecting with the people who live here. So the first thing is you need to know is your environment dictates your success. Figure out what type of photography you want to do and ask yourself, is the environment that I'm in good for that style? Number 2, mastering the mindset. Comparison is the thief of joy. Instead of comparing yourself to someone who you feel like is better than you or has what you want, learn from them. See who is where you want to be and figure out how did they get there? Is it possible to copy their life or what they did in a way? But you're not competing with other photographers. You're competing with your past self, your growth. Growth is slow and compounding. It won't feel like success in the moment, okay? Photography is different now than it even was 10 years ago when I started. Viral success is harder, but passion and endurance always win. So the question is, how bad do you want this? Are you just gonna be paycheck to paycheck with photography, or are you able to create a business strategy and business model or create work that people would pay thousands of dollars for? Art pieces that you can sell for thousands of dollars, shooting weddings or portraits that people will pay thousands of dollars for. You know, no one's gonna pay $3,000 for a night to stay at a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment for an Airbnb, right? So you don't want to charge more than what you're offering, but you want to be able to curate and be able to sell yourself and position yourself in a way that tells people, yo, you need to buy from me rather than the competition. For me, landscape photography, it's not about me trying to compete with everyone else. It's competing with my past self, because you are going to make mistakes. You are going to mess up, and trial and error is going to be your best friend. So the reason most photographers never go full-time is because they don't fully commit. So ask yourself, if photography was the only way to put food on the table, how would you approach it? If it was the only possible way for you to make money, if you had no photography, if you couldn't do photography, then you're going to starve, you're going to be homeless. It's impossible to make money any other way. So put yourself in that position. Try to put a survival instinct there, because passion, dedication, and endurance are the ultimate deciding factors. Just like any other occupation, the person who puts in the most passion and effort is going to, most of the time, most likely rise to the top above everyone else, the one who is still there, the one who perseveres through the thick and the thin. Step 3, learn from others. For example, you're watching this video. This is a fantastic video, I hope, that I'm putting out here to give you guys some good tips and pointers on how to become a successful photographer. Education is everywhere. You have no excuses. I am probably one of thousands of videos here on YouTube and people who are giving their words and advice on how to become a successful photographer. So don't just look at my video, watch other people's videos. We live in a time where information is unlimited. YouTube, online courses, workshops, and books. And that's even stuff that you can create with enough experience. You can do workshops, you can do books, you can have a YouTube channel, you can do online classes. That's why I'm putting this video out, because it's a little bit unconventional. Remember that photography is not a naturally born talent. Okay, it's something that you discover along the way, but it's like a skill that anyone can master. Some people might be able to master it easier than others, but that's just because they might naturally observe something in the photographic world different than other people. For me, I'm obsessed with light, the way light can create motion, it can create emotion, and it can captivate. The reason why I have been able to become a successful Adirondack landscape photographer is because I put myself here, I connected deeply with the people here by showing my work on Instagram, and the work that I capture is work that relates with my customer. They know the places that I'm going, they know those views, they know these mountains just like I do. And so I'm able to captivate both visually on video and photography in fine art, a picture, something that they relate with. And that's how you become a successful landscape photographer anywhere in the world, is to create something that captivates someone, whether it's expressionalists, improvised street photography, impressionism, whatever it is. There's so many different kinds of photography. And the thing is, it's either a service or it can be an artwork. Now, photography is art, but it doesn't have to be, right? You could shoot sports photography, you could shoot street photography and portraiture and weddings. But for example, with a wedding, what are you doing? You are providing not just a service, but memories. You're capturing something for someone that they can look at. That's the beauty in photography, the greatest beauty in photography. Figure out who can you connect with. Don't just let a person just be a transactionary relationship. Not necessarily. Try to see where you can actually connect with an audience. You're gonna have your own creative style. It's fun to learn from other people and try to mimic their styles and whatever, because that helps you learn. But the thing is, you're gonna have your own creative style. You will, no matter how much you try to copy someone else. Every person is different, and that's what makes it beautiful, and that's what makes it possible. Step number 4, the power of small wins. The little wins matter more than you think. Maybe it's your first client. For me, I remember my first 5-figure photo sale when someone wanted to purchase a lot of my artwork for their home. And that was huge. And it made me realize that if I just get my work in front of the right person, which all that was is they saw one photograph of mine, it might resonate with them. And they say, whoa, hang on, let me look at the rest of this person's work. Wow. And so then that goes with, how do you market yourself? Where are you putting yourself? Throw yourself in front of people if you have to sometimes, you know? But the power of small wins, getting your first unpaid gig just to build your portfolio, getting reposted by a brand. And sometimes that's okay if that means free work, right? Contacting people saying you'll do photos for free. Start gathering your portfolio. Start, game planning exactly, who you want to be, where do you want to go with your photography, right? Write that down. But I've been shooting Nikon my whole entire career, and I never thought Nikon would feature my work, but Nikon has featured my work many, many times. And it's simply just because I'm tagging them on Instagram, and then that just built relationships. And they've sent me stuff. I've been a Nikon professional service member. I'm not a Nikon ambassador yet, but I would love to. And remember to embrace the long game. I took a photo once and it didn't sell for 8 years, but when it did, it mattered to the right person. Step number 5, gear and mastering your camera. So yeah, you probably heard that you don't need to spend $5,000 on a camera and that the best camera is the one in your hand. Well, I think that's both true and false at the same time. We are living in a day and age where technology is advancing super, super fast, and there are certain cameras that have certain capabilities now much better than they did 5 years ago. For example, I'm recording here with a camera that can shoot fully internal 12-bit raw video without an external monitor. That was unheard of 5 years ago. ISO and noise are pretty much the same. There's just different computing processes to be able to reduce those things. But it's the lens, in my opinion, that matters more than the camera body necessarily. But also at the end of the day, you can give a monkey a $10,000 camera, and if you don't know how to use it, then it's pointless, right? So that's also why the tip of it doesn't matter what camera is in your hands, because it matters with how you use it. That is very true in most situations. But I started with a $500 camera and worked my way up from there. Master your settings and your light. The best photographers don't just shoot, they understand exposure and composition and how light works. Use it to your advantage. You need good low light, that's fine, but maybe there's other processes and techniques that you want to learn in Photoshop on how to composite an image better. There's, again, all of that stuff is available on YouTube. A race car driver doesn't just own a fast car, they know how it feels and how to push it to its limits, right? If you put someone who just got their driver's license into a Lamborghini, they might wreck it. They don't know how to use it properly. They don't know how to take care of it or maintain it, right? So know your beast, know it, become one with the camera. And make sure you invest into gear wisely. I only use one camera body and like 3 lenses. I have an extra body, but it's like my past bodies. I don't really sell my bodies, but I just use one. And that's just me. I'm a less is more person. I don't need 5 cameras and 15 lenses. Like, I'm able to do most of my photography and everything that I do with one kind of lens and one kind of camera, because I've been able to hone it in so well. And remember again, that buying new gear does not make you a better photographer. Mastering what you already have does. Number 6, the most important skill is storytelling. In any photography that you do, it's being able to tell a story, because that's why someone is going to buy your work or hire you. Photography is powerful because it captures emotion. Every photo tells a story, whether it's a wedding or landscape or a product. The goal is to make people feel something. So you need to learn how to connect with your audience. It's not just about transaction. Stop trying to look at people necessarily as dollar signs, because I put work out all the time with no expectation of people buying it. I'm doing it because I'm proud of it, because I want it. And so I put out the work, and I hope that it will resonate with someone, and maybe the picture will sell in 8 hours, maybe it will sell in 8 years. So if people see themselves in your work, they'll invest in it. My landscape photography resonates with people because they've been to these places, or they want to go to those places. They feel connected to it. It's not just luck, guys. Like, you need to put yourself there, right? One of the biggest pieces of advice that I got from a friend who has millions of dollars is that, like, you're not going to learn how to become a millionaire unless you hang around millionaires. Now, obviously, I get there's truth and false stuff to that statement, but if you want to learn how to become a pilot, hang out with pilots, right? If you want to learn how to become a photographer, hang out with photographers, right? Does that not make sense? And maybe you don't live in an area where there are people that do what they do, or they might be they have a big ego and they don't want to hang out with you and things like that. Well, do the best that you can. Try to find people around your environment, pour into each other. Maybe there's clubs, maybe there's places that you can go, and workshops around the country. And maybe it's going to require an investment rather than just showing up. You know, you have to find these things and figure those things out for yourself. Step number 7, selling your work and making money. So unlike client-based photography, for me, landscape photography does require patience, because I'm not just going to go and take a picture and then it's going to sell to someone immediately. I have gone out and photographed certain things specifically for a client. They did want a specific image, and so I already knew I had that in the bag. But you need to shoot your photography without the expectation of even being able to sell it and make a living from it. Because if you don't go into photography with that mindset, then you just honestly should stop at the beginning. You can't go in with the mindset of, I am the best in the world, everyone's gonna wanna buy my work, I'm so excited. Go in, start photographing, and this is more of the landscape, but go in and just start to try to build your portfolio. But shoot differently. Don't just shoot motion water again and another black and white. Like, try to express yourself. Try to figure out what is working. So like for me, selling prints, licensing imaging, working with brands, these things take time. I don't chase client. I try to have my work speak for itself. The right people will come when you create something truly impactful and they start to recognize that. If you want to make a living, you have to think beyond just photography. Passive income, digital products, presets, ebooks, courses, collaborations. Unless you're going to be a high ticket who's getting every single client for like 10 grand or something like that, that's not just going to happen overnight. And I've mentioned this before, step number 8, the harsh reality is trial and error is your best friend. You will fail, you will mess up photos, you will get rejected, you will go through seasons of doubt. But again, doing free work, gaining the experience, gaining that portfolio was one of the biggest things of propelling myself. Then I slowly started having, magazines reach out to me. The brands that I shot for put my work in their magazines. I stepped out and got placed into my first art gallery 8 years ago, and I'm still with them, and I sell my work, and people come all the way to that art gallery just to see my photos and buy my pictures on the wall. I have no paid traffic to my website, and I get hundreds of visitors a week. But I will say the biggest problem is the conversion rate is kind of low, because it is hard to sell someone a photograph for $300 or $400, because to that person, it has to really, really speak to them. The average person is not just going to have $300 or $400 to blow and say, hey, I'm just going to buy a piece of metal and put it on my wall. They got to get it in front of the right person. And I've mentioned that 5 times. What's the biggest difference between a professional and a hobbyist? Professionals don't quit. I used to kick myself over missed shots, but the more you shoot, the more chances you have to get it right. The only way to get better is to keep going. Number 9, there is room for everyone. There really is. It's not oversaturated. It's just the thing that makes it more difficult is everyone is fighting for a piece of the pie. But the thing is, everyone's going to have a different creative field. People are always looking for different photographers. Like, there's no reason why you can't be a successful photographer. You just have to know what you want to do, where you want to do it. Maybe you need to relocate, but you have to figure out how to connect with people. Okay, because that's you have to connect with people. Like, I don't know how many times I can reiterate that. You have to connect with an audience. Think big. How bad do you want it? And number 10 is my closing statement. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, it's that photography isn't just about gear, skill, or even talent. It's about endurance. The difference between those who make it and those who don't isn't luck. It's who's willing to stay in the game long enough to succeed. You will fail. You will take bad photos. You will have moments where you doubt yourself, but the ones who push through and learn from their mistakes and keep creating and going to others and learning from other people, those are the ones who turn photography into a career. So now the question is, how bad do you want it? If you do want it, you already have everything you need to start. Master your camera, build your lifestyle, and put yourself out there. And if you have found this valuable, make sure to download the PDF down below that I'm gonna have in this video. I want you to succeed. Like, maybe you're just trying to figure out what, like, again, start little, go and like reach out to people, and don't be afraid to photograph things for free, because portfolio really, really will matter. Don't just expect to start posting to Instagram and to get thousands and thousands of views. It's not the best photo that's going to get you viral content. It's consistency on Instagram and trying to reach out to people and tagging people and trying to connect with an audience, right? It's connecting, storytelling, visual. Learn what that means. It's good to go around your town or whatever you are and just start taking pictures and stuff, but to learn your camera, right? But the thing is, that's not going to eventually translate into money. You have to figure out how to create something that's going to be a service or a product, as well as something that's going to visually connect with someone. I'm sure there's stuff I left out. I'm sure there's other points or things that I could have made. You might even disagree with some of the things that I said, but that's okay. Again, these are just my opinions. I would say for me, myself, if I were to just give one piece of advice, aside from these things, I would say connecting with people, meaning become someone to them. Because if you can become someone that can translate something that they love into a photograph, it changes them. It helps them, and they love it because they know they can't do that. Take that with what you will. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this 20-odd minute video. I really hope you found it useful in some way. If you want to see some really awesome landscape photography, feel free to follow me on Instagram. Check out my website, all of it in the description below. Same thing to my YouTube channel. Feel free to browse the rest of the content that I'm making. I'm not a full-time YouTuber. I wouldn't even say I do it part-time. I mean, I just put out videos when I can, and I have a good Patreon following. So thank you to my Patreon supporters. Seriously, if you have any questions, feel free to throw things in the comments. I will do the best that I can to answer. And I'll see you guys next time.